Hi Champion Summary Review here. Watch out and take care. Today we will be sharing a Australian post-apocalyptic horror drama movie named Cargo. The story starts with a world overtaken by virus that turns people into rabid within 48 hours. Andy Rose, his wife Kay, and their baby Rosie are traveling down a river on a houseboat in rural Australia. Short on government rations, Kay suggests going ashore and scavenging for food in the nearest town. But Andy rejects this, arguing it would be safer to remain on the river until they reach their destination, a supposed refuge. The next day, Andy searches an abandoned sailboat alone and retrieves some supplies, but hastily leaves when it becomes apparent something else is aboard. Andy shows Kay his haul, but does not tell her about the danger, and when she ventures out to collect more, she is bitten by a rabid human. When Andy finds Kay trying to bandage the bite wound, he insists on taking her to a hospital since she would bleed out long before succumbing to the virus. The Rose family disembarks, restarts an abandoned car, and sets out toward what their map indicates as a large town, but they swerve to avoid a man standing in the road and crash. Kay is impaled and Andy faints. When he wakes, Kay has already turned and then bites him. Andy has no choice but to kill his wife and move on to the town with his daughter. While on the way, Andy met a man, who is also turned. But a girl named Thumi appears and reveals that the man is her father, Willie Bell. Thumi has been hiding Willie from her mother, Josie, and the rest of her community because they have been killing and burning the infected, and she believes her father can be cured by having a shaman restore his soul. Andy reaches the town, but it is much smaller than expected and deserted. Etta, a schoolteacher who takes care of him and Rosie for the night. Etta explains that all of her students and their families, most of them Aboriginals, have discarded modern trappings and gone back to the old ways. She warns Andy to hide his bite mark. Andy wakes later than planned the next morning after experiencing his first seizure from the virus. When Andy and Rosie leave, Etta shows them a picture of Thumi and her parents and tells Andy to find them and leave Rosie in their care. Andy frees a man named Vic who is pinned under some gas cylinders, and Vic takes him to his shelter and introduces Lorraine, whom Andy assumes as Vic's wife. Andy learns that Vic uses healthy humans in cages as bait, one of whom is Thumi, to lure out the infected so he can shoot them. That night, Andy attempts suicide, believing Rosie will be cared for by Vic and Lorraine, but Lorraine stops him and reveals that she is not Vic's wife, but his captive, and Vic murdered her real husband. Vic discovers them and knocks Andy out, and he awakens in the same cage as Thumi. They help each other escape by using the combined force of many infected to pull open their cage. They return to the shelter, rendezvousing with Lorraine and Rosie. Vic shoots at them as they escape, and inadvertently kills Lorraine. The following morning, Andy upsets Thumi when he tells her that he and her father will not get better. She runs to where she had been hiding her father, but finds her people had already discovered Willie and put him down. Initially distraught and blaming Andy for delaying her, Thumi relents and rejoins him when she hears Rosie crying. They travel by motorboat to a campsite where Andy previously saw another family, but learn that the father has been bitten and plans to kill his family and himself with a revolver. The father tells Andy to use the gun's last 2 bullets on himself and Rosie. When the family is dead, Andy takes up the gun and debates whether to go through with suicide, but is stopped by Thumi. They then notice smoke nearby and move to investigate. As the trio pass through a railway tunnel, they re-encounter Vic. Thumi hides with Rosie inside a parked vehicle on the tracks, while Andy and Vic fight. During the struggle, Vic manages to grab the revolver and wound Andy with a shot, then goes after Thumi and Rosie. When Andy recovers, he finds Vic cradling Rosie and weeping over the loss of Lorraine. Vic peacefully returns Rosie to Andy and allows them and Thumi to leave. Later, Andy enters the final throes of infection. With his time almost gone, Andy asks Thumi to look after Rosie. He and Thumi prepare for his turning by binding his hands and preparing a piece of meat on a stick, which Thumi uses to bait him once he has turned. In this manner, Thumi uses Andy to carry her and Rosie safely on his back. They eventually catch up to a party of Aboriginal warriors that includes Thumi's mother, who recognizes Thumi's whistle. Overjoyed, Josie embraces Thumi before taking Rosie off Andy. One of the warriors is about to kill Andy, but Thumi stops him. She sprays some of Kay's perfume, which allows to Andy to regain his humanity just long enough to know that Rosie is now safe. Once done, Thumi nods to the warrior to put Andy out of his misery. The warriors and Josie look sadly at Andy, realizing that he is Rosie's father and that he saved both Rosie and Thumi. The party then returns to a camp deep in the wilderness, where many other survivors are shown living peacefully and safe in a community. Thumi and Josie inspect Rosie for injury, and find Andy had painted the words, "Thank you," on her stomach. Thumi looks up at the sky sadly while Josie exchanges a sad look with the other women gathered around, understanding the great sacrifice Andy made for both girls. The film ends with a scene focusing on a tree with the decorations that Thumi and Andy put there. We hope you enjoyed this video summary. Do remember to subscribe. Thank you.